Tokyo Ghoul begins with two men named Kaneki and Hideyoshi who are in a cafe. At that time, Kaneki was reading a strange book called Egg of the Black Goat written by a male writer named Santakatsuki, while Hide was discussing the existence of ghouls, which was being reported at that time. He tells Kaneki in the video that the ghoul is in District 20, which is not far from their campus. After that, Hide told Kaneki that a woman named Rize, whom Kaneki liked, also came to the cafe. He told Kaneki to approach her, but he continued reading his book out of nervousness. Hide forcibly grabbed Kaneki's book until it fell at the feet of Rize, who was passing by. Suddenly she took the fallen book to Kaneki. He apologized, and she said they liked the same author with a smile, then she left. When he got home, Kaneki started rereading his book. He found a paper that Rize had tucked into his book. The paper said that she asked him out on the 23rd. He smiled at the writing and continued reading again. The next day, they met at a cafe and discussed the author of a book they liked. After that, Rize teased Kaneki and said she wanted to know more about him. They both look familiar and not awkward even though it's their first date. At night, they walk home together. On the way home, Rize stopped her steps, said she liked Kaneki and hugged him. When hugging Kaneki, Rize suddenly bit his shoulder until he fell. Then Kaneki moved away from Rize and looked at her face. It turned out that she was a ghoul who wanted to eat him. He tried to dodge as hard as he could while shouting for help. Seeing this condition made her even more excited to eat him. When Rize stabbed Kaneki using her kagane, suddenly a large iron fell from the top of the building and hit Rize's body, and she died instantly. The scene switched to a flashback of Kaneki's past when he was a child. Kaneki was reading his father's book while his mother saw him and asked why he was reading adult books. He replied that his father often read the book, so he was curious to know the contents of the book. The next day, Kaneki's mother was found dead for no apparent reason. Back to the present, Kaneki was saved thanks to the actions of a doctor. The doctor managed to operate on him and perform an organ transplant in his body using Rize's organs. On the other hand, two men named Mato and Amon are researching the corpse of a female ghoul they captured in District 20. They are very reliable agents of the Commission of Counter Ghoul or CCG because they have managed to capture and eradicate ghouls many times. Each agent has a special weapon called the Queen Kui made from the kagane of the ghouls they have captured. While researching the ghoul, they searched for items they used as a sign of ghoul membership until Mato and Amon found a ring. They then reported the ring to the agency's office and found information on number 696 or Tajima and Sarazawa with the real name of 20-year-old Asagi Fueguchi. The ring they found seemed to be made on request for a membership token. In addition, ghouls usually use masks when in a crowd of people. After his body recovered, Kaneki began to live life as usual again and returned to his campus. Arriving at the campus, Hide greeted Kaneki and invited him to eat in the canteen together to celebrate Kaneki's recovery. When Kaneki started eating a piece of meat, he felt something strange about himself because he became nauseous and vomited the food that entered his mouth. After arriving home, Kaneki tried to eat the food in his refrigerator but he vomited it. Suddenly, there is news on television that says that a ghoul can't eat human food because ghouls have different enzymes from humans. Hearing that, Kaneki, who felt worried and frustrated, immediately washed his face and looked at his face in the mirror. He saw his left eye turn red like a ghoul. This happened because he had an organ transplant with Rize's organ, so he must accept the fact that he is now a half-ghoul human. At night, Kaneki went out of the house. He walked around in the middle of the city and looked at the people around him. When he saw them, he felt hungry and wanted to eat them. Suddenly he smelled a very delicious smell, and then he followed the direction of the smell until he arrived at a dark alley. There was seen a ghoul who was preying on humans. Kaneki was shocked and couldn't believe it when he saw this, but the man offered the meat to him. Shortly after, the man was killed by another ghoul named Nikishi Nishio. Nikishi approached Kaneki and said that District 20 was his territory. When he was about to kill Kaneki, a woman named Toka, a ghoul, came along. She is a waitress at the Anteiku cafe, which is usually visited by ghouls. She manages to beat Nikishi to make him run away. Toka, who saw Kaneki looked very hungry, offered him a human hand. But he refused because he felt that he was a human. Then he left there and endured his hunger. The next day Kaneki went to meet Toka. He asks her to help find food for him. Then a man named Yoshimura, the owner of the Anteiku cafe, appears and gives him a cup of coffee because it can be consumed by ghouls. A few days later, Kaneki started coming back to campus. He covered his left eye because, at any time, it could turn into a ghoul's eye when he was hungry. Hide invites Kaneki to accompany him to the campus warehouse because his senior man named Nishio invites him to meet there. Arriving at the warehouse, Kaneki and Hide accidentally opened the door and saw Nishio kissing a woman. At that time, he was angry that Hide had entered the room without knocking on the door. After Hide apologized to Nishio, they chatted over a drink together. Suddenly Nishio pushed Hide until he fell. Nishio immediately attacked him, but when Kaneki wanted to fight, he lost strongly to Nishio. Even Kaneki still doesn't know how to use his ghoul powers. When Nishio wants to kill Hide, Kaneki tries his best to bring out his ghoul powers. Slowly he finally managed to get his Kagane out of his body. Kaneki attacked Nishio and managed to stab him with his Kagane. However, when Kaneki saw his friend covered in blood, he couldn't control himself because Rize's soul was inside him. But he continued to make his mind aware that he could not prey on his best friend. Then he took Hide to the hospital for help. Kaneki went to the Anteiku cafe to calm himself down. He met with Yoshimura and told him about the strange events he had experienced. Yoshimura said he is lucky because he can still be half human. All the cafe visitors to the workers there are completely ghouls. Yoshimura invites him to work at the Anteiku cafe so he can learn about ghouls' life. Kaneki accepts the offer and wants to live his life as a half-ghoul. Meanwhile, Mato, Amon, and the other members at the CCG headquarters were researching 5 women in District 20 wearing small dresses and rings like the ghouls they had caught earlier. The next day, Kaneki starts working at Anteiku cafe and serves a mother named Ryoko and her daughter named Hinami. Hinami reads a book written by San Takatsuki. When a servant finds out the book, she leaves it. Ryoko explains that Hinami has no friends because she doesn't want to send her to a human place, and Ryoko leaves the cafe. Then Yoshimura approached Kaneki to learn how to survive by foraging alone. At night, Kaneki and a male servant named Yomo went to a cliff. There, they can find human corpses for them to make food without having to kill them. Kaneki finds out that the members at the Anteiku cafe manipulate accidents to kill humans, and their corpses will become food for the ghouls. They do this to disguise their existence because if they hunt humans directly, they will attract the attention of many people and be arrested by CCG members. The following day, Kaneki and Toka were already at the Anteiku cafe. A woman named Yuriko, an ordinary human, came shortly after. She brings food for Toka, which she cooks herself without knowing that Toka is a ghoul. She asked Toka to eat her cooking, then Toka ate it while holding back her nausea. In the evening, Yomo and a woman came to the Anteiku cafe to meet them. They gave information to Ryoko that her husband was killed by CCG members. Yoshimura said that Ryoko and Hinami had to stay at the cafe until they found a new place because CCG was looking for them. He offers them to move to District 24, which they agree to. The next morning, Toka and Kaneki went to a house to meet a man named Uda. When they got there, they entered the house, and it was dark because only a few candles were lit. Uda came out to meet Toka and approached Kaneki to smell his smell. Uda measures his face to make a mask for Kaneki. Meanwhile, at CCG headquarters, they are still researching the 5 women they suspect. They are researching Ryoko's activities and get information that she bought a dress in a small size. Then she came to the same place as Aseki Fueguchi. Mato knows they will be leaving District 20, so he will catch them soon. At night, Hinami approached Kaneki to explain the contents of the book she was reading. Then she asked him to take the coffee beans to his father's grave. Kaneki went to the park to bury the coffee beans. Unbeknownst to him, the CCG members were observing his movements. When Kaneki left, Mato and his friend came to dig the soil. They found masks and other objects in a box. The next day, Hinami was talking to Toka and Kaneki. She asked again about the meaning of the book she was reading, while Ryoko was chatting with Yoshimura alone to ask for protection from him. After finishing, Ryoko and Hinami said goodbye to leave. Kaneki asked Yoshimura about District 24. He replied that District 24 is the last hiding place of the ghouls that are not yet known to humans. He then told Kaneki to deliver the umbrella to Ryoko. At night, when Ryoko and Hinami were walking, suddenly it rained. They both took shelter in an abandoned place. Unexpectedly, Amon and Mato came to meet them, and Mato showed them a red mask. They said that they had killed her husband. Ryoko asked them to release Hinami, then told her daughter to run and leave the place. Hinami ran fast until she met Kaneki, who was carrying an umbrella for Ryoko. She was hysterical and said that her mother was in danger and pulled him to run with her to the place earlier. Arriving there, Kaneki could not do anything and could only see them from a distance while hiding because he didn't know how to use Kagane's power. Mato shows her husband Kagane to Ryoko and then uses it to kill her, while Kaneki and Hinami, who saw it in front of them, were instantly hysterical. Amon and Mato found out where they were hiding, but they immediately ran from there. Kaneki went to the cafe Anteiku as fast as he could. He told Yoshimura and all the servants there. Toka, who heard this, was very angry. She went alone to meet Amon and Mato. She uses a bunny costume to meet them, so her face is not recognized. But Toka can only kill their subordinates. However, she could not resist Amon and Mato's power, so she chose to run away. At the Anteiku cafe, Kaneki saw Toka, who was seriously injured, sitting on the floor. Seeing this, he felt bad for her. The next day, Kaneki asks Toka to help train him. He wants to use the ghoul power that is in him. His goal in training is to take revenge for Ryoko's death by the 2 CCG agents. Toka then trains Kaneki's physical strength in various ways to be ready to fight. After practicing for some time, Kaneki could master his ghoul powers and become stronger. After training, Kaneki and Toka plan to kill the 2 CCG agents. Meanwhile, at CCG headquarters, Mato and Amon are making plans to capture Hanami. When Amon discovers that Mato will go alone, he wants to accompany him, but Mato orders him to patrol the city because some ghouls may appear at night. On the other hand, Hanami was in her room and didn't want to eat the food in front of her. Suddenly, she smelled something similar to her mother's smell. Not long after, Toka and Kaneki went into Hanami's room to look for her, but she wasn't there. It turned out that she had escaped through the window to go outside. Hanami continued running towards her mother's smell until she arrived under the bridge. Arriving there, Hanami saw the cut off her mother's hand. Suddenly Mato came, then she immediately left with her mother's cut off. Mato contacted Amon, driving the car, and said he had managed to lure Hanami. It turns out that Mato continues to follow Hanami away into the night. At that time, there is a woman who throws a red arrow to stop Mato's steps. Toka then appears and prepares to face him. Elsewhere, Kaneki wears his mask and prepares to meet Amon to hinder his movement. A fight ensued between them. Kaneki tries to fight Amon with all his strength, but he still can't beat him because Amon has a very strong Queen Kui. However, Kaneki still tried to attack him and did not want to give up. Finally, Rize's character dominates Kaneki's body, and he unconsciously eats Amon's shoulder. It made Kaneki stronger to beat him and make him fall from above. Kaneki is overshadowed by Rize's existence, so he loses control over himself. He said to Amon that if humans believe in ghouls, then ghouls and humans can live side by side. He then told Amon to run away from that place because he didn't want to kill him. After that incident, Kaneki went from there to meet Toka under the bridge. It turns out that she is fighting against Mato, but he can't beat her. However, after using Ryoko's Kagane, Mato becomes stronger and makes the Kagane his weapon. This made Toka even angrier. Her anger made her do something reckless that made Mato almost kill her. But suddenly, Hanami managed to save her using her parents' Kagane inheritance. So Mato fell, then Toka killed him. After that incident, Hanami decided to go to District 24 for shelter. Meanwhile, Toka, Kaneki, and the rest of the cafe's waitresses lived their lives as usual. Life in District 20 finally started to go normal. In another place, Amon visits Mato's grave to give flowers. He then promised him that he would avenge his death and kill all the existing ghouls. The moral that can be learned from this movie is that life between humans and other creatures has been created for a long time. As long as we don't interfere with each other, this life can go hand in hand.